My dear students, welcome to my today's online class on nuclear hazards and human health risks. So, before getting into the topic as such, we shall understand what is the radioactive pollution or what is nuclear hazard. Risk or danger to human health or the environment posed by the radiation emanating from the atomic nuclei of a given substance or the possibility of an uncontrolled explosion originating from a fusion or fission reaction of atomic nuclei. So, here I want you to introduce two things: fusion reaction and fission reaction. These are two reactions normally you come across in nuclear physics, and what exactly you mean by the risk or damage to human health or environment posed by radiation emanating from atomic nuclei of a given substance. Atomic nucleus is the place where fusion or fission reaction will be taking place, or the possibility of an uncontrolled explosion originating from a fusion or fission reaction of atomic nuclei. So this is radioactive pollution, which is a special type of physical pollution that is related to all major life supporting systems like air, water, and soil. So this is quite dangerous and very alarming. All of us should know about this. Okay. Then, what are nuclear hazards? As I was telling you, radioactive or nuclear pollution is a special form of physical pollution related to all major life supporting systems like air, water, and soil. And radioactivity is the phenomenon of emission of energy from radioactive isotopes, that is unstable isotopes such as carbon 14, uranium 235, uranium 238, uranium 239, radium 226, etc., which are all radioactive isotopes. The emission of energy from radioactive substances in the environment is often referred to as radioactive pollution. Then, generally, the radiation hazards in environment comes from UV rays, ultraviolet rays, cosmic rays, visible range, then microwave radiation. And among these, X-rays produce 95% of radiation exposure. Then nuclear energy or nuclear power plants is used to produce electricity, but fuel produced in power plant is radioactive, which is very dangerous to health. Okay, dangerous, and waste materials are quite hazardous. So this is radium is a radioactive element with atomic number 88 and atomic mass 226. Right. Then here, the nuclear waste materials also emit radiation, bringing about radioactive pollution. Generally, the radiation exposure is measured in terms of the units called Röntgen units, R units. One Röntgen is defined as the quantity of radiation which produces 1.6 into 10 to the power of 12 pairs of ions in 1 gram of air. Okay. So this is the definition of Röntgen, which is the unit to measure the radiation exposure. Then, what are the sources of nuclear hazards? One is the natural resources like cosmic rays from the atmosphere. The quantity depends on the altitude and latitude. It is more at higher latitudes and higher altitudes. Emissions from radioactive materials from the Earth's crust. Okay, these are the sources of nuclear hazards, that is natural resources. Apart from that, we have man-made resources like nuclear power plants, X-rays, nuclear bombs, nuclear accidents, mining and processing of radioactive ores, then use of radioactive materials in nuclear weapons. Okay. Then, after having studied the sources, natural and man-made sources, what are the effects? The biological effects of nuclear radiation can be divided into three groups. One is short-term recoverable effects, that is small effect which leads to loss of air. Then long-term irreversible or irrecoverable effects. And third one, genetic effect. Okay, we shall give a look into this. Internal bleeding and blood vessel damage may show up as red spots on the skin. Cancer is considered to be the major health problem from radiation exposure. Then radiation can cause permanent changes in DNA, that is the genetic material, which is known as mutation. And acute exposure appears to burns and radiation sickness, that is nausea, hair loss, weakness, etc. Then, what are the radiation effects? In a 0 to 50 Röntgen units, they have no visible effects. Then 50 to 200 Röntgen units, brief periods of nausea, and exposure to 50% may experience radiation sickness, nausea, vomiting, etc. 5% may require medical attention and no deaths are expected. But if the range is 200 to 450 Röntgen units, most of the members in the group will require medical attention because of serious radiation sickness, that is 50% deaths within 2 or 4 weeks of exposure. Then 450 to 600 Röntgen units, serious radiation sickness in all members of the group. Medical attention is a must. Death to more than 50% within 1 or 3 weeks, and above 600 Röntgen units, severe radiation sickness, 100% deaths in 2 weeks. So these are all the effects of radiation based on the quantity and the possible effects. Then, what are the control measures? Leakages from nuclear reactors, careless transport and use of radioactive fuels, fission products and radioactive isotopes have to be totally stopped. Number 2, safety measures should be enforced very strictly. Number 3, waste disposal must be careful, efficient and effective. Then there should be regular monitoring and quantitative analysis through frequent sampling in the risk areas. Then preventive measures should be followed so that background radiation levels do not exceed the permission limits. Then appropriate steps should be taken against occupational exposure, and safety measures should be strengthened against nuclear accidents. So these are all some of the control measures, and main thing is disposal of nuclear wastes. High level waste, HLW, they have a very high radioactivity per unit volume. Since they are too dangerous to be released anywhere in the biosphere, they must be contained either in converting them into inert solids like ceramics and then buried deep into the earth or stored in deep salt mines. Then medium level wastes, MLW, like filters, reactor components, etc. They should be solidified and mixed with concrete in steel drums before being buried deep mines or below the seabed in concrete chambers. Then low liquid waste, LLW, example solids or liquids contaminated with traces of radioactivity, are disposed of in steel drums in concentrated trenches in designed sites. So this is how you have to dispose the nuclear wastes. Then what are the safety measures? Monitoring radioactivity around the disposal sites, prevention of erosion of radioactive waste disposal sites, then prevention of any drilling activity in and around the waste disposal site, then periodic and long-term monitoring of such disposal sites and areas of naturally occurring uranium-rich rocks. These are all some of the safety measures. My dear students, in this short lecture, I have taught you about the nuclear hazards and their probable health risks on humans, which is a chapter in your EVS paper. Thank you for your patient hearing. Okay, stay blessed. Let me close my lecture.